It doesn't get any more Wisconsin than beer, brats, and cheese. Being in practice in Wisconsin for the past 25 years, I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, I'm not giving up my beer, brats, and cheese, or at least something similar to that. So today we're going to talk about how you can have your beer, brats, and cheese and still be healthy. Welcome to the Foundational Health Podcast, where we provide education and inspiration to help guide you on your journey to look better, feel better, and most importantly, heal better. Hello, and welcome to the Foundational Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Kevin Schultz, and today we're going to have a little fun. Let's talk about beer, brats, and cheese. The majority of today's podcast is definitely going to be on alcohol, but you'll want to stick around for the brats and cheese discussion, and as always, I'm going to give you some excellent, actionable takeaways today. Let's jump right in and start the discussion with beer. Okay, before we dive into the topic of beer or alcohol, not just beer, let me just say this as my disclaimer. Most health experts now agree that in the ideal world, no alcohol would be the healthiest option, but I fully realize we don't live in the ideal world, so for those of us that are going to continue to drink some alcohol, myself included, let's talk about how to do it in a healthier way, or more appropriately, a less unhealthy way. Here's what we do know about alcohol in general and why most health experts do agree no alcohol consumption at all is the ideal. By the way, for those of you beer lovers, don't worry, I'm not going to just spend all my time bashing beer. I'm just laying this all out, and I want to be thorough. So this is not just to bash beer and alcohol. I just want to paint a full picture so I can appropriately talk about how to negate some of the negative effects of alcohol. So for those of you who want to, you can make some better choices and hopefully at the very least reduce hangovers, because who doesn't want that? With all of that being said, let's talk about some of the negative health consequences of alcohol consumption. Number one, alcohol is classified as a neurotoxin. That means it's toxic to your brain and to the rest of your nervous system as well. We know from MRI studies that brains shrink dramatically with alcoholics. But even if you're not an alcoholic, alcohol is still toxic to your nervous system, which shouldn't be too difficult to understand really with how stupid sometimes we can get when we're drunk. And that's because of what it does to our brain in the short term with inflammation. But sadly, there are significant long-term effects as well, with alcohol being linked to dementia and other cognitive decline. Number two, alcohol increases your risk of 7 different types of cancer, including breast, liver, colorectal cancers, and others. It's classified as a group 1 carcinogen, which is as bad as it gets when we're talking about cancer-causing agents. Cigarettes, by the way, also group 1. Cancer, obviously, is a big one. Something that most people, at least in my experience, as well as according to polls, are not aware of. And in fact, according to public polls, only 45% of Americans are aware at all that multiple studies now link alcohol consumption to cancer. And of course, like most things, the higher the consumption, obviously, the higher the risk. The reason that it is a group 1 carcinogen is because of something called acetaldehyde, which is a toxic byproduct of alcohol metabolism that directly damages DNA, and as a result, it promotes tumor development. So a little side note, acetaldehyde is considered to be the number 1 reason that cigarettes are also cancer-causing. Number 3, alcohol kills good bacteria in the gut, which destroys your immune system, and then it also can lead to things like depression and anxiety because of the gut-brain connection. Number 4, alcohol is very inflammatory and causes not only gut inflammation, but brain inflammation and whole body inflammation as well. And chronic whole body inflammation is considered to be a factor in nearly all, if not all, disease processes known to man. So pretty big deal there. Number 5, alcohol disrupts hormones. It mainly does this due to increased estrogen levels, which is why it's directly linked to breast cancer, primarily in women, but it also causes significant lowering of testosterone levels in men at the same time that it raises estrogen. So trust me, that is not a good combo if you're a man. High estrogen and low T levels will definitely not help you look, heal, or feel better, whether you're a man or a woman. So you might be thinking, well, what about all of the studies showing that a glass of wine or a drink a day is not only okay, but it can actually be good for you? The answer to that is easy. There's pros and cons to everything. I've talked about this on many podcasts, and that's really what it comes down to here, pros and cons. Most of those studies, if not all, are funded by wine and alcohol producers that are simply looking at the pros, not the cons. They're looking at things leading to potential health benefits like antioxidants that we hear so much about, specifically antioxidants in wine, resveratrol. People always talk about what wine has resveratrol. They are not, however, looking at or reporting on the cons of alcohol because, of course, that's not good for alcohol sales at all. And by the way, there is such a small amount of resveratrol in wine that it really doesn't even have an impact on our health, and certainly not enough to counteract all of the negative effects that alcohol has on our body. This is just an example of amazing marketing done by wine producers over a long enough period of time. And there's a saying that goes something like this: if you tell a lie big enough, long enough, loud enough, with enough money behind it, eventually it becomes accepted as truth. And that is definitely the case here with wine being touted as a health drink. Now, if you do want the amazing antioxidant effects of resveratrol, then eat actual grapes and a variety of fresh and frozen berries. That is where you'll get amazing amounts of beneficial resveratrol, along with so many micronutrients and different types of fiber. And instead of killing gut bacteria, inflaming your body, and increasing cancer chances, you'll actually reduce inflammation, help to prevent cancer, and feed your gut bacteria with fiber. Fruit in general, but especially berries, are what we call in our home God's candy. All right, you might also be thinking, what about all of the cultures around the world that drink wine almost daily and still live to 100 years of age, healthy and disease and cancer free? Let me answer that question with a question. Which person do you think is going to have a higher likelihood of experiencing the negative effects of alcohol? So you have person A, who's living on an island in the Mediterranean Sea, living a stress-free life. They're moving outdoors every day while in the sun, breathing fresh air, raising and growing their own food, and then they have a glass of wine with their family and friends while eating all the amazing food that they grew and raised. Or person B, the stressed out American who gets 70% of their daily calories from highly processed inflammatory food that contains no probiotics, no enzymes, no nutrients. They don't exercise, very little sunlight. They don't get outdoors for fresh air. They're staring at computers and cell phones all day long, lacking sleep, and then they have a drink at night to calm themselves while they watch negative nightly mainstream news. Hopefully it's pretty obvious that person A, living a healthy life, more aligned with the way we were designed by God to live, is going to be able to handle an alcoholic drink or two a little bit better than person B. Even if they're having a drink daily, they're still going to be able to handle it better. Let's get into some more of the fun stuff for those of you that still want to have your alcohol occasionally. Again, like myself, so I'm not just bashing this to say don't ever drink alcohol, just laying it all out there because it's going to make sense as we get into how to make better choices. So here are the top 5 things to be aware of so you can lower your risk of some of the negative effects of alcohol. Number 1, as I mentioned, we know alcohol kills off good bacteria in your gut, and drinking alcohol also depletes B vitamins in your body. So 2 great supplements to take before and after drinking are a good high-quality probiotic, and then also I highly recommend taking a B complex to help restore the depleted B vitamins. Tip number 2, alcohol dehydrates you, so having 1 glass of water per drink helps to keep you hydrated. And that's no matter what you're drinking, whether you're drinking a beer, whether you're drinking a liquor, whether you're drinking a wine, 1 glass of water per drink helps to keep you hydrated. And also, using things like electrolytes will help you stay hydrated even more. Number 3, having food in your stomach will help reduce the toxic effects of alcohol by slowing the rate of alcohol absorption in your bloodstream. We probably all heard this a million times, make sure you eat before you drink, and this is why. There's science behind that. If you have food in your belly, it's going to slow the rate of alcohol absorption into the bloodstream. And then, of course, ideally, you want to be sure to eat the right foods, not the wrong foods. And you want to eat right before drinking and continue to eat while you're drinking alcohol as well. Number 4, as I mentioned earlier, acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde is a toxic byproduct of alcohol metabolism, and this is what causes DNA damage and also has been shown to lead to tumor growth. So because of this, it's incredibly important to drink types of alcohol that have less acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde levels are measurable, but they can and they do vary from product to product. We know that the higher they are, the more damaging they are to our nervous system, our DNA, and really our bodies in general. So here are some simple things to be aware of, but keep in mind, again, this varies a bit depending on studies and different brands and products, as well as even, believe it or not, your genetics and how you actually metabolize alcohol in your body. So one study showed that on average, acetaldehyde levels in beer were approximately, and I'm rounding these numbers, they were approximately 200. Wine was approximately 700 to 800, so that's 4 times more than beer if you're keeping track. Fortified wine, which is having alcohol added. This was one of my favorites back in the day, of course, when I was 21, called MD 2020, Mad Dog, as most people know it. And that is a fortified wine. It has alcohol added to it. That has levels of about 2,400 on average, which is 12 times worse than beer. Liquor ranges widely, but we know that the darker the liquor is, the higher the number. So for example, rum way up there, dark rum, way up there at around 3,000, whiskeys around 2,000, yellow or gold tequilas are around 500, and then you have clear liquors like gin, vodka, white tequila, silver rums. Those come in more in the 20 to 50 range. Much better. So in a nutshell, whiskey, dark rum, fortified wines, very bad, unfortunately, for all of you who love that. Wine and cider. So I didn't mention ciders, but those are right up there with wines and fortified wines, somewhere in between there. Also bad when it comes to acetaldehyde. Beer, certainly not good for you, but considerably better than wine and all of the other things that I mentioned. And then the clear winner by far are things like gin, silver rums, vodka, white tequila, also known as tequila blanco. And if you want to make those choices even better, the more distilled it is, the lower the acetaldehyde. So it really does pay to actually drink top shelf clear liquors. So much so, in fact, that according to those numbers, for example, if you look at a dark rum compared to a top shelf vodka, for an example, there's 150 times more acetaldehyde in that rum than there is a top shelf vodka. So for me, seeing those numbers, and this is something that I honestly didn't know a whole lot about until the past year when I've studied this and looked at podcasts and different studies on it. And again, there's conflicting information, but for me, seeing those numbers, I don't care how much I like the taste of rum or whiskey, because I do, especially whiskey. It's just simply not worth it to me to drink it when there is a much better alternative with top shelf vodka and white tequilas. So that was a long tangent. So just a reminder, we're talking about the top 5 things to be aware of to lower the negative consequences of alcohol. And that was number 4. So last, but certainly not least, number 5, your body on average breaks down and metabolizes 1 drink per hour, approximately. So this can vary depending on your genetics, as I mentioned earlier, and how quickly you metabolize alcohol, how well you metabolize it. It can depend on your overall health, the amount and type of food in your body, or in your belly rather, the type of alcohol. But as a general rule, you can break down and metabolize approximately 1 drink per hour, which is approximately 1 shot of liquor, 5 ounces of wine, and 12 ounces of beer. So keep in mind there are multiple factors there, including your genetics, as I mentioned already, and how you process and metabolize alcohol. So those are just general rules. They're not rules to live by. But now that we have all of that knowledge in our brains, let me lay out a really great game plan for those of you that want to have some drinks socially once in a while and have fun, but do it without getting drunk, without getting hungover, and then having the least possible negative effects on your short and long-term health. Here we go. Before drinking, I have 2 tips. Take your supplements and eat your food. Number 1, supplements. So there's 3 supplements. I know I already mentioned 2 of those, but there's 3 supplements you want to take before alcohol consumption, because alcohol kills off good gut bacteria. Because of that, I highly recommend taking Nutridyne Spore Probio, because over 90% of a Spore Probio, spore-based probiotic, is viable when it reaches your intestines compared to less than 10% of a normal probiotic. And this is going to help you replenish and build up your gut before you drink alcohol. The second supplement you want to take before alcohol consumption is a methylated B complex to build up a surplus, because alcohol, as I talked about earlier, depletes B vitamins in your body. And then the third supplement to take before consuming alcohol is a supplement called NAC, N-acetylcysteine, which again, I recommend getting from Nutridyne. You want to take this before drinking because NAC supports your liver's ability to neutralize toxic, cancer-promoting acetaldehyde. That's a really big one. It helps support your liver's ability to neutralize the acetaldehyde. So NAC, really, really important to take prior to drinking. So all of those 3 can be found on our website, foundationalhealth365.com. Just click on Health Shop and then click on Nutridyne. And I never thought I would have this, but I have an alcohol consumption tab under the Nutridyne supplement website. The number 2 thing to do before drinking is get some food in your belly. And not just any old food, but ideally high quality proteins and carbs. So not processed carbs, which are inflammatory and feed bad bacteria, which is the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here. If you need some help with food choices, we actually have a brand new amazing nutrition guide on our website under the health programs tab. This is probably the number 1 thing that I've had suggested to me over the past year or so. What do we do for food? So this is just a basic guide, but a comprehensive basic guide on what should nutrition look like if you're trying to live a foundational health life. Nutridyne is my number 1 choice for the vast majority of my family supplements. I'm a huge fan of nearly everyone taking what I call the foundational 4 supplements: a multivitamin, a spore-based probiotic, omega-3 fish oil, and vitamin D3 with K2. The large majority of people are deficient in many of these nutrients, and they are the building blocks to gut health, immune system strength, brain health, heart health, and every other aspect of your health. Don't fall into the trap of chasing symptoms with supplements, and instead start to rebuild your health with the foundational 4. We partnered with Nutridyne so that you can save 15% on every order, and not just with the Foundational 4, but all of your other supplements as well. Go to foundationalhealth365.com, click on Shop Brands, and then Nutridyne, set up your account, and you're all set to automatically get 15% off all orders. Now let's get back to the Foundational Health Podcast. So those are the top 2 things you want to do before drinking alcohol, but let's talk about what to do while drinking alcohol. So 4 tips here: hydrate, electrolytes, eat food, take supplements. Number 1, drink at least 1 glass of water with every single alcoholic drink that you drink. So in the ideal world, this would be highly filtered water, but that's always, of course, not doable. So I would recommend at least getting bottled water with your drink to avoid chlorine and other chemicals that are in tap water, which further destroy gut bacteria along with the alcohol. And yes, I realize if you're drinking bottled water and top shelf liquor, it's going to increase the cost of your drinks, but it's worth it in my opinion. And maybe you'll drink a little bit less because of it. Number 2, take some electrolytes, ideally with every single drink, to stay hydrated along the way. I recommend an electrolyte brand called Element that we have available on our website, but if not, just make sure you do your research and you get something good, not Liquid IV, which is it's honestly a horrific sugar and chemical concoction. And definitely not things like Gatorade or Powerade, which are, I don't know how to describe them besides pure crap that are sold as a health drink. Number 3, continue to eat high quality proteins and high quality fruits and vegetables with good fiber to help slow alcohol absorption into your bloodstream. So yes, you're doing that beforehand, but you're also continuing to do it while you're drinking to slow that alcohol absorption into the bloodstream. And then number 4, the last tip to remember while drinking, there's a fantastic supplement that Nutridyne makes called Alcohol Detox. This is a blend of excellent ingredients designed to help you detox away all of the negative effects that alcohol causes. I shouldn't say all, because clearly there's still going to be negative effects, but it helps to detox away some of the negative effects that alcohol causes. You take 2 capsules prior to every single drink you consume. Obviously, that's probably not doable if you're consuming a large amount of alcohol on a regular basis, but this is more for people that want to consume it once in a while and a smaller amount while they drink. So you take 2 capsules prior to each drink that you consume. Those are the 4 tips for what to do while drinking. So in the ideal world, it looks something like this. You're sticking to 1 drink per hour, and you're drinking vodka or tequila blanco or gin or other clear liquors, ideally top shelf, and you're drinking them with filtered or bottled water and electrolytes. And then before each drink, you're taking 2 capsules of alcohol detox, and you're continuing to eat some good, high-quality food while you're drinking. So if you're doing all of those things, you're hydrating, you're getting your electrolytes, you're reducing toxic acetaldehyde, and if you stick to 1 drink per hour, you get the benefits of socializing, having a little fun, getting a short-term buzz, but not drinking fast enough to actually get drunk or hungover. I'm asked all of the time what my favorite drink choices are. This is also something I didn't anticipate ever talking about on a podcast, but here we go. I'm at the point in my life where I only drink 3 or 4 times per year, probably in the last 3 or 4 years. When I drink, though, I have 2 favorites. My top favorite is Hansen's Organic Grape Distilled Vodka. No, I don't have that on our website. Probably never will. I don't think I've ever seen it in a bar or restaurant. You definitely can get it in grocery stores. You can order it online. So it's called Hansen's Organic Vodka, and it is distilled from organic grapes. So I mix that if I'm not in a bar or restaurant setting, but having a drink with friends or family. I mix that with water. If I am in a bar, I ask for potato vodkas. Most places will have potato vodkas, or I just look for something organic. And then if they don't have either one of those, then I just go with a top shelf vodka. And then again, I mix that just with water, ideally bottled water or filtered water, and then raspberry element electrolytes, and it is fantastically delicious. And then my second favorite is Don Julio Blanco tequila, or another top shelf tequila with water and citrus element. Also really, really delicious. So now let's talk about some of the things to avoid while drinking. I have 2 tips here. Number 1, avoid sugary drinks like the plague. There is no better way to increase headaches and hangovers and all of the other negative effects that we talked about today than to drink sugary-filled alcoholic drinks that also usually have a ton of colorings and other chemical additives as well that further destroy your gut bacteria. So I know people love sugary drinks. That's a tough one. But I have talked to multiple people that have replaced their sugary drinks with those 2 drinks that I just talked about. Because the element is so flavorful and so good, they don't miss the sugar concoctions that they were drinking before, and they feel remarkably better because of it. Tip number 2 to avoid while drinking is avoid processed breads and other processed carbs as well as fried foods. I realize this doesn't work real well with most bar settings and bar food, but you can typically at least find a better option on the menu if you choose to. So for me, I used to absolutely love eating all of those bar foods, and it's probably why I felt terrible all the time. It's probably why it's one of the many reasons why I used to be obese. But now I love getting things. I look for things on the menu those few times that I do drink in a bar setting or when I'm on vacation in Mexico. I love getting things like naked wings without any breading, that means, and then sides of dipping sauce so that they're not just smothered in all the sauce. You get a side of dipping sauce, and then I also get some celery or fresh vegetables that they offer on their menu. So those are all the do's and don'ts while you're drinking, but ideally, you also want to stop consumption at least 3 hours before sleep. Sleep is where the magic happens, and this is where being intentional comes in and having a discussion about this and putting thought into it before you start to drink, and then making sure you're sticking with close to the 1 drink per hour, because anyone who has drank alcohol knows you can have a great game plan going in, but as soon as you overconsume, all reasoning gets thrown out the window, and you can pretty much justify just about anything, including dreaded shots. Now, we're done with the fun night out. You successfully nailed your game plan with everything that you wanted to do before and during drinking, or even if you didn't, here's what you can do after drinking. Those same 3 supplements you took before drinking, you also want to take again after drinking. So take the recommended dose of Spore Probio, B Complex, and NAC 600 after drinking, especially before you go to sleep. Get 8+ hours of sleep ideally, because there is no better way to heal, detox, reduce hangovers than good quality sleep. Really, sleep and time is going to be your best friend when it comes to hangover reduction. And then the next morning, when you wake up, take another recommended dose of Spore Probio, B Complex, and NAC 600 again. So you're doing that before, right after, before you go to bed, and then again the next morning. And then be sure to hydrate again with plenty of water and element or another good electrolyte mix, and really focus on good movement. Get outside, go for a walk while getting some sunshine, fresh air, hit the gym, go for a run even if you don't feel like it. That's going to help you sweat out some more of those toxins. And then chances are you probably aren't going to remember all of these recommendations because we just went through a lot. So no worries. We've actually created a simple guide on how to do all of this, which you can find on our website under the programs, health programs, quick guides section, and it's just called Alcohol Consumption Done Right. Okay, that was a little more exhaustive than I was planning on getting on alcohol, but hopefully you found it to be beneficial. So let's move on to Brats. Sorry for all of you Johnsonville lovers, but Johnsonville Brats, even though they are a Wisconsin-based company, they're definitely not going to make my recommended brats list. If you are interested in learning more about high-quality meats and proteins and the differences between animals raised the right way versus the wrong way, I highly recommend checking out podcast episode 14, which is on grain-fed versus grass-fed beef, because for the sake of today's podcast, I'm just going to keep this segment on brats pretty basic, pretty simple. So even though Johnsonville does not make my list, I do have two other Wisconsin-based small farm recommendations that you're going to absolutely love, and both of them offer shipping for their brats as well as their other products. If you're not local, you can get them shipped directly to your doorstep. First one, Together Farms from Mondovi, Wisconsin. They carry a wide variety of products in their online store. They're offering shipping for all of Wisconsin and also for most of the Midwest United States as well. They have pork bratwurst from pigs raised the way pigs are meant to be raised. They also have a bunch of other incredible products in their online store at togetherfarms.com, as well as their in-person farm store. And I'm so proud to say, like crazy proud, that North Star Bison out of Rice Lake, Wisconsin is now one of our new trusted partners. So you can connect with them through our website under the Health Shop tab. They have pork, bison, beef, and elk bratwursts that are absolutely amazing, all from animals raised the way God intended. I highly recommend checking out their website, reading their family story, how they got started, what they do to go above and beyond. It's really pretty incredible, inspiring, and fascinating. So they have so many different products, not just brats. They have hot dogs, summer sausage, beef sticks, jerky, and of course all of the normal ground meats and meat cuts and much more. They also have multiple different animal products to choose from: bison, beef, elk, salmon, turkey, chicken, pork, lamb, goat, and rabbit. It's really a one-stop shop when it comes to anything that you need meat-wise. Something that's overlooked when it comes to protein is that just like fruits and vegetables have very different nutrients, so do different animal products. They have different micronutrients, different macronutrients, and different makeups of proteins and amino acids. So the more variety, the better when it comes to any high quality food, including meats. I've personally had both Together Farms and North Star Bison Brats and many other products, and I can tell you they taste amazing. And more importantly, they not only taste amazing, but unlike their Johnsonville counterparts, they actually are amazing for your health at the same time. And then last, but certainly not least, for all of my fellow Wisconsin cheeseheads out there, as well as the rest of the cheese lovers, let's talk cheese. This discussion I'm going to keep even more brief than the brats discussion. There are three main things I always recommend with any dairy product at a bare minimum, and those three things, of course, would apply to cheese. Number one, make sure it's organic. Number two, make sure it's full fat. Number three, make sure it's plain. There's two bonus categories I also highly suggest you look for, because if you can get all five of those, then I personally believe dairy, especially cheese, can be an amazing, healthy addition for you and your family. So bonus number one would be making sure that it's raw. And then thankfully, unlike raw milk, raw cheese is allowed in all 50 states. So there's definitely something you want to look for when you go to buy your cheese. Make sure it's got those first three plus raw. And then bonus number two, A2 casein. So this one's definitely a little harder to come by, but by no means impossible once you start looking for it. Many people think that they are actually lactose intolerant, and of course some people are, but they actually have more of a casein allergy from A1 casein dairy products, which is the standard. So if you go to the store, you're not going to see A1 listed because that is the standard. When it's A2, you'll see that typically right on the front of the label because they want you to know it is different and it is better. A2 casein is something you definitely want to seek out, even if you don't have an allergy to it. It's just better for you. You have less reaction to the dairy when it comes to many different factors in your gut and the rest of your body. So both Together Farms as well as North Star Bison have cheeses that meet all 5 of those requirements, which you can purchase on their websites, and you can have them shipped directly to you, or you can purchase both of their on-farm stores as well. And for all of you Costco lovers, like myself, my family, we absolutely love Costco. You'll definitely want to check out the original Parmesan cheese from Italy called Parmigiano Reggiano. Not only does this cheese meet all 5 of those requirements that I just talked about, but it also is, believe it or not, most people have no idea, it is naturally lactose free. And it's pretty much the only cheese that I consume because I don't get phlegmy from it at all, no matter how much I eat. And that is not the case for me with other cheeses. It's also a great source of protein, calcium, magnesium, vitamin K, and so much more. And Costco has it in wedges as well as shredded. Do not, though, be fooled by regular Parmesan cheese. It often doesn't meet really any of the requirements that I talked about. So you need to look for the real deal, which is Parmigiano Reggiano. Let's wrap this podcast up with a few inspirational and educational takeaways. Number 1, success equals simple habits performed daily over time. Focus on the big picture with every single thing that you do. I know we all want to see instant results. That's just human nature. But remind yourself that health is a journey and a process. Start to think about how you're going to look, heal, and feel in 1 year or 5 years or even 20 years if you keep doing the simple, healthy habits daily over time. Number 2, alcohol is not a health drink, unfortunately, no matter what you do to make it better. So work on reducing the amount you drink and the amount of times that you drink it. And if you're doing that, yes, you can have your beer, brats, and cheese and still be healthy when you're doing alcohol in moderation and you're eating the right kinds of brats and cheese. Number 3, you are a leader. If we're going to change the health of our future generations, it absolutely starts with us, the adults. You are a leader, whether you see yourself that way or not. Your kids and grandkids are watching what you order at the restaurant. They're watching what you buy at the grocery store. They're watching your alcohol intake. They notice when you skip going to the gym or don't go for your family walk that you promised. It's time for all of us to step up our games for our kids and our grandkids' sake before it's too late, because we're heading down a bad path in this country. If you enjoyed today's podcast and found it beneficial, please think about who needs to hear this message. Be a leader for them. Drop them a text or a Facebook message and tell them to check out the Foundational Health Podcast with Dr. Kevin Schultz on beer, brats, and cheese, please. Until next time, make health your hobby. Thank you for listening to the Foundational Health Podcast. As always, if you would like to learn more about making health your hobby, visit our website at foundationalhealth365.com and follow me on Facebook at Kevin Schultz DC Foundational Health.